Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast about video games and beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Aadil.
Hey!
And Lucy.
Back together again.
Exactly, all three of us.
That.
Hooray! With good news.
Been a while.
With good news from a certain someone whose certain job they had to certainly look at again.
No, I mean, this is slightly different, right? Because
Okay.
this is, I had a one-year contract that today I would have had to apply to get that one-year contract again. Because yesterday was the interviews for the permanent version of my job, which I didn't have to interview for the one-year extension because they offered it to me before the interview.
Hooray!
Yeah! So I am permanently employed in academia, which is no small feat.
No, absolutely not. Something you've been striving for a significant
while.
amount of time.
Yeah.
Just being employed is a feat in this day and age.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Not unless you listen to certain CEOs of certain companies, not gaming or beer related in any way, who basically say people should be happy they've got jobs.
Oh.
How dare people think they've got the power to dictate what they want from jobs rather than them just being lucky they've got one. Anyway.
Oh my god,
People-
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
The guy
Which
who
one?
was
Because
saying,
I'm not sure which one. I mean,
he
it could
said,
be
what we
many.
need is more higher unemployment
Yes.
so employees don't get uppity because they should know their place,
Yep.
basically.
Who said that?
I don't know which
CEO of
CEO he is.
a property development company.
CEO
Ah,
being a
because of
That's
course.
even worse. Yeah, it's
Yes.
like you were already
Scum.
doing that. Yeah, yeah.
Millionaire CEO surprises no one by being dickhead. Let's drink some beers this week.
Thanks.
I'm going to open up a beer. I've been around the houses up and down the country with a few of my beers over recent weeks. I am in Bristol today for a collaboration beer between two heavy hitters in Bristol. This is New Bristol Brewery and Arbor. It's a very green can. It's a key lime pie PA called Whose Lime Is It
Sorry.
Anyway? Yeah, I know. I'm going to start putting little things on the beers. It's 6%. It's a lime-infused milkshake IPA brewed in collaboration with our good friends at New Bristol Brewery. Most of Arbor's beers are vegan. This is not. It has lactose in it, and they let you know because they've got a stamp that they've clearly had to put on because it's not a standard element on their labels. Lucy, what are you drinking this evening?
Well, I like beers that say double and triple.
Nice. Yes.
And this is a triple dry hopped Citra, Azacca, and Enigma DIPA. I don't believe it has a name, but it is brewed by Arpus Brewing in collaboration with Finback.
Nice.
I will read a little bit of flavor text. In this dipper, we went with the grain bill of a lager malt, complemented by oats and wheat. During and after fermentation with London fog, we dry hopped this beer with Enigma, Citra, and Azacca hops. So that is my beer today.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and it's 8. How much was it? Yeah, just 8%.
Is this Arpus an American brewery or a US
No,
brewery?
they're in Latvia. They're
Oh
in
wow!
Latvia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they did I think they went to. Yes, they first collaborated when they went to the USA in 2022. But then back in Latvia, they've brewed a double IPA as opposed to just an IPA when they were in America. So.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Adam, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking, kind of like last week, I'm drinking one of the Vault City 5 Years of Sour beers, but this time it's release number 3, which I had the pleasure of having on tap at the Holy Grail here in Durham. It's the collaboration with Polly's. It's the Even Cloudier Double Dry Hopped Hard Lemonade. So it's 11%
Wow. Nice.
sour with Citra, Motueka, Nelson Sauvant, and Amarillo. So, imagine a blissful sip that transports you to a warm summer's day, an ultra-refreshing sour beer to quench your thirst in the scorching sun. That's exactly what our collaboration with Polly's delivers. In honor of our 5th birthday, we've taken the incredible taste of our original double dry hop cloudy lemonade and cranked it up a notch. Lemon juice and zest pair perfectly with our mixed fermentation-based beer, while Citra, Motueka, Nelson Savant, and Amarillo amplify the strong citrus and tropical fruit character in this hazy, dry-hopped sour.
Nice. Good. Good.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we've had legit paragraph flavor text.
Yes.
I was gonna say it's legit been a minute since I've had a sour.
Mm.
Oh man, it's
Right.
been
Just not
35.
into them these days. Jesus.
I was at the pub celebrating my job earlier.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
As you should
but,
have been. Yes.
maybe just haven't had the weather for it this year. I don't know, because it's been miserable all year round.
Sure.
Mm.
Sure. And those hot sort of days are few and far between when actually you want something maybe a bit more kind of crisp and refreshing rather than something that's going to kind of puck you up that little bit. Whereas if you'd been drinking lagers and things all summer and pales and things, you want that difference that a sour kind of brings. Yeah, I get that completely. This Arbor New Bristol beer is very limey on the nose. Like you know, yes, it's a key lime pie IPA. It's telling you with its can colour it's going to be full of lime, but it really is on the nose. It's massive on there. But you do get a little bit of sweetness as well, which I would assume is the kind of the lactose. Maybe a bit of a combination of hops giving me something a little bit kind of not necessarily fruity, but maybe a bit more malt forward. The hops sort of taking a bit of a back step maybe, but could just be the lactose in there giving me that sweetness. I assume because it's a milkshake IPA, it might be big in that department.
Shake IPA.
Wow.
That's another one. That's been missing for a while.
It's maybe a little bit lighter in colour than my camera is giving off at the moment, but it's sort of a little bit of a bronze, very hazy, didn't have much head to it, but it's really limey in the flavour, but not just lime. You're getting that milkshake IPA in the background. You're getting a little bit of creaminess. You're getting a little bit of the sweetness from the lactose as well. It's balanced out quite nicely. There's maybe a little bit of interesting that they've gone with a milkshake IPA rather than say like a pastry dessert IPA, whatever those kind of ones are sort of called these days, because it's a little bit sort of a touch kind of pastry sweetness. It's dipping between that kind of slight creaminess and a little bit of maybe slightly more malty sweetness in there. But it kind of makes your tongue tingle a little bit as well. And that citrus, that lime kind of really hits. It just fades away very nicely to give you these other flavours in there as well. As I say, it's not too kind of mouth-puckering, it's not too hitting. It's not sort of, I've just sucked a lime and it's absolutely hit me. This is balanced very, very nicely. I'm going back to it far too quickly. It's a little dry, but not too dry. It doesn't kind of dry me out too much. I feel the need to have to go back to it, which is nice. It's just kind of just wet enough that I'm going back to have that sort of flavour experience rather than I have to have another beer. It's not too chewy, it's not too dry, it's not dragging me back to it, which is great. Cool. I'll return to this later. Lucy, like you're enjoying it. You've got your nose stuck in your glass for a fair while.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, it smells like a little bit smoky. And I was like, oh, what is that? And then it smells nice though, because at first I was just getting like, all that citra, all the citrus fruit, tropical fruits, orange, mango, papaya, those kind of smells. But yes, it has an underlying slightly smoky smell to it.
Nice.
And I was I did have a look. Well, it says London Fog. What is London Fog? What are the
A few people use London Fog these days, don't they? It's kind of one of the bigger yeast strains, I think,
Yeah.
around. Yeah, I think a lot of people have used that as their kind of like their base strain.
Hmm.
There's something that definitely smells smoky. But anyway.
The fog.
Yeah,
It's just
fog, smoke.
creeping in, just coming under the door behind you. Like just follows the beer everywhere it goes.
Or maybe it's the malts that I'm smelling. And the what was this? Was this with lager malt, complemented by oats and wheat? So maybe I'm getting a bit of that. But, yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful looking beer. I mean, it poured with like, well, the reason the beer's only up here is because it poured with literally that much head. So, but yeah, it's really nice white, fluffy, frothy head. And yeah, it is just a block of colour, just pure yellow.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. Just what you want.
Yeah, when I was pouring it out of the can, it was just like, ooh, that looks velvety. And it is. It's very pillowy
Good.
soft. Mm. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm just going to enjoy this. You lot carry on.
Fair.
This is good.
Fair. Nice.
That
We'll
sounds great.
come back to it at the end.
No, it's alright, I'll carry on.
No, go on.
Can't tell it's 8%. It's I think it's got a lot of body, so I think that's probably the telltale sign that it's like this is probably a bit higher in the ABV. But in terms of like, maybe getting a little bit of alcohol burn and sweetness at the end of the taste, but drinking it, it's there's those first few seconds after the taste, it's like probably nail it somewhere around a 6%, because it's not in your face, the alcohol, so it's very dangerous. Like you could knock this back easily.
Nice.
And just be like, oh yeah, it's 8%. But yeah, just really fruity. It's got a nice bit of bitterness. But yeah, it's got that malty backbone. As I say, I don't know why I'm still getting this like smoky kind of. It isn't just the aroma; it's the taste as well. Almost, it's got a slightly smokiness to it, which is weird but very nice at the same time.
Good. That sounds really good. I don't think I've ever had anything from Arpus.
I think I have once before or something. Maybe once or twice before, but nothing that stands out in my mind. But yeah, that's a really nice beer. It is like harkening back to the, fruit bomb kind of days where, but it's not overly sweet, which is good. It, as I say, it's got a nice bit of bitterness. The malty backbone just tempers things down. So even though you're getting a nice bit of fruit, it's not overly sweet. Yeah, it's a really good beer. Don't know if it's because I haven't drank in, like, I don't know. It's really good. It's been at least a week, which is far too long if you're on a beer podcast, in my opinion, to not have a drink. So.
Well, I was going to say, if it's been a while, this seems like the perfect first step back in. Good.
But yeah, very good, very good. I mean, I like Finback beers, and yeah, I think Arpus are a bit, unknown territory for me. So, gonna have to seek out more of their stuff. But yeah,
absolutely. Good. Aadil, we'll come to you for the Vault City.
Vault City / Polly's, which I had the beginning. That's how I started my celebratory session on tap.
Okay.
I'm actually quite curious what it is in can.
Okay.
Already on the nose, it's a lot. The lemon zest comes off right away in a way that off tap it didn't. Which was the main thing that drew me to this beer. Is just like I wanted to feel up and zippy, and that lemonade, as they call it, right? Just that extra zest and what was it? Lemon juice and lemon zest. Just give it that like lemonade-y feel.
Was it a hard lemonade style.
Yeah, it's the even Cloudier double dry hopped hard lemonade. So they basically worked with Polly's to make their cloudy hard lemonade punched up, and woof. In the tin, it's that, maybe it's because I've had a couple beers since the first one tonight, but this feels a lot crisper. That zest is really kicking through. You have that lemon juice. It feels like a lemony drink rather than a beer, which of course, because it's a Vault City, we're not looking for standard beer markers.
Yep.
What I liked about this on tap was I was still getting a bit of malt on the back end, so just a hint of this isn't lemonade. It's a little beery, which is the balance I like. Here I'm getting that lemon juice is kind of. I have to look for that hint of malt beery taste a little more, because that lemon juice is just that much stronger in the can form versus the app. It's very good. Now that I've had a couple of sips on my palate, the finish still has a bit of a beery aftertaste, which is good because I wanted a beer, right?
Sure.
It's the bit of the tension I have with things where Vault City is so good at what they do that sometimes it's like, oh, but at what point will I have the beer part? And what I liked about this on tap, and now that I've had a bit on the tin, it's still there, is that it still has a bit of a beery finish, so you don't lose that while still having that. This is a strong lemonade drink. Again, because it's double dry hopped, we're getting those hits of especially the Citra and the Nelson Sauvin, I find, are the more of the forward hops.
Okay.
So it's like a lemon juice hit, but like you have those hoppy hits as well, those hoppy tastes. And so even though it's very lemon zest forward, you're still feeling the hoppy taste, if not quite a beery taste. So it still lives in that lemonade sphere. Really, really good. If you can find this on tap, it's fucking phenomenal. I'm not sure ending a day of having several very different beers at the pub and then coming home and having this 11% lemonade is quite the way I would do it normally, just because now I'm ending with the least beery one. But also, what's astounding about this and potentially problematic is there is absolutely no way you could tell this is 11%. Like, it's viscous enough, right? But because it tastes more like a lemonade that has like some hoppy undertones, like your regular beer dar of like, oh yeah, it's a bit thick. Maybe it's strong. It's not there. It's like, oh yeah, this is like a lemony, zesty, and cuts it's like that zest and that lemon juice. It's really crisp and like bright, and so you're like, ah, good, tasty. I'll have another sip. And there's two reasons why you should push against that. One is it's 11%. You're gonna hit the floor if you just slam back a pint of it. And two, having too many successive sips, because that lemon juice and zest is so strong, and in that initial hit, the finish is quite long, and that's where the more interesting, like there's what, 4 hops, right? In there, and those hops and a bit of that maltiness come out only in that longer finish when you've let the zest and juice kind of fade. And if you keep going back for those sips in between, you're just not going to give that part of the taste time to breathe, so to speak. And it's really good, and it's why I liked this beer on tap, and why I'm glad it's still the same in tin, is that like, if you want it as like a very crisp, zesty hit, you have it, but also there are these layers of bitter hop flavors that open up in the finish, so you can nurse it and get a very different experience, because most of your time with it will be that longer finish.
Yeah,
that's much more beery. But you can also just like take these big swigs of pow, and then let it sit for a while. You can like do both, which is really interesting.
Nice, good. I have to see if any of the bottle shops around here are carrying any of the sort of the anniversary birthday beers. But the two that you've described over the last couple of weeks both sound just really, really good. And
actually, I should look
would
up
be
how many they're doing. I'm assuming 5,
yeah.
right?
It's 5 years, right? So yeah, you would think you'd think 5. But no, that sounds really good. I haven't had a Vault City in time, so yes,
in time.
Good.
Same. Yeah.
Good. Let's drink.
I remember
these.
when we got sent the Vault City beers,
Oh man.
I remember that it was a hot summer, and I remember drinking it outside in the heat.
Yeah.
No such times this year.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Man, it was a summer too, if I remember.
When was
Yeah.
that? When did we have Andy on?
I think that was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
He could have been. I'm gonna go
It
back.
was in lockdown. I remember that.
It was in lockdown. It must have been 3 years ago,
Or
right?
lockdown-ish or something.
So
Lockdown 2.0 maybe.
yeah, episode 260, which
Yeah.
was published on the 23rd,
23rd.
of April in 2021.
That's my
So
birthday.
it would have been right at when the walls started to come down, but we were like maybe distancing at tables outside only.
Maybe.
Maybe. Gosh, how many years of my life?
It's almost it's almost 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Insane.
Ooh.
Insane.
That was my
Vault
birthday.
City 5-year
could-
release 5 was a maple vanilla choc chip scoop with a draught theory.
Oh, they're really fucking good. They're like
13%.
one of the fucking best American breweries, at least in my opinion. A couple of years ago, I haven't had any of their beers for like a year or so, maybe. But yeah, they started getting well into like thick.
Oh, I
thick
actually
beers
at
as well.
the pub they had this one went off and they put the Strawberry Supernova, which is Moorslutel's the Dutch brewery, which is very good, collab for the 5th anniversary, which is actually the first release, and it's Strawberry Supernova, and it is like it. How many percent? I didn't even look.
Just drank it.
10.5%, and it was more strawberry jam than strawberry, and it was very, very good.
Nice.
Perfect for like a third. It's a little thick, a little too strawberry for much more, but because I leaned a little more into that strawberry jam taste, it was good.
Good. Yes, let's enjoy these beers and we'll move on to games. We've been talking, all of us, I think, so far, that our beers are very good from our first impressions, talking about good beer and stuff like that. I'm going to just drag us back down to our miserable level and talk about a miserable experience I have had with one of my favourite games ever. Because I downloaded and played a very, very small amount of Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis.
I knew it'd be a Final Fantasy.
Mate, don't worry. I'm not going to talk much about playing it because I didn't play that much of it. But it's a new mobile version of Final Fantasy VII, which brings all of the games under kind of like one experience, right? So Final Fantasy VII, Crisis Core, and The First Soldier, which was an MMO that Square made last year and dropped incredibly quickly. Yep. It doesn't exist anymore. It lasted for like 6 months or a year roughly, and they just don't support it anymore. But
Sounds like them.
it's now a single player experience in this Ever Crisis game, and the game started off well. The graphics look like the Final Fantasy VII remake, so it's in that style to start with. The combat is in that style, and they've changed combat up a little bit. Your ATB gauge basically fills up. You've got like 8 slots, and 3 will do this move, 4 will do this move, 5 will do kind of this move, and you wait for it to fill up a bit, and then you go, I'll do that one. Cool. Wait for it to fill up a bit more. I'll do that bigger one. That kind of stuff. So combat seemed a little bit interesting. And the game seemed interesting, or at least the story seemed interesting, because you start off with Cloud/Zack fighting Sephiroth, and not how the games begin. Yeah, right. I know you check out a little bit, Lucy, but it starts off very strong. It starts off strong, and then jumps into the beginning sequence of Final Fantasy VII. But what it's done is and I think it's maybe more for the mobile version, it's shortened all of the sequences from Final Fantasy VII. So you're not kind of running around areas, getting into really random encounters, taking absolutely ages to get around to progress the story forward, and it's all in a bit of a chibi kind of aesthetic. It looks quite good, but they've aimed for like mobile. I think this is aimed more at like an Eastern market than it is maybe over here, and I played the game through until you get to bombing the reactor. It's one of the first bits
that's like
of the game.
not even an act. That's just like
it's not an act. It's not an act. Absolutely, it's the first chunk of the game. But it takes you a good maybe 30 minutes to get through all of that. This took me maybe 5 to get through because it has cut so much of it. And I'm thinking, fine. Final Fantasy VII's a massive game. If they've done this and they have made smaller kind of almost like vignettes of different bigger sections, this is perfect.
Be reminded of the game
Absolutely.
and the story staying pretty strong, right?
Yes, very much. But I got to the end of that section and it chucked me out to a menu and then basically said, well done for completing this bit. Now you can either play the rest of Final Fantasy VII, you can go to Crisis Core, or you can play this new thing in the First Soldier. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That seems fine. You give people choice about where they want to go. And then on the menu, it's like, hello, we've clearly got like 5,000 different currencies in this game for you to play with. Oh, you can draw stuff. There's a special event on now, and if you draw like 10 times, you could get a 5-star weapon for a character. And I'm like, oh no, they've made a gacha game, and they've kind of just wrapped a gacha game in Final Fantasy VII somehow. And it took me through like 10 different screens of all of these different things. Not only that, it took me to one of these draw sequences. You had to go through it, and it crashed, and I had to go back into the game. And it didn't even take me to the draw sequence again. It was just like, oh, that's happened now. You don't get to actually see what was going on or what you got from it. And I'm like, no, don't need this. Uninstall. I thought I was going to get just little 5 minutes, do a little bit of Final Fantasy VII of an evening. 5 minutes, just fine. Progress through a bit, No, fuck that. This is not a game for me in any way whatsoever. I will just have to get a PlayStation 5 and play the part 2 of the remake when that comes out if I want a fix, or play the original game, or go back and play the remastered.
Wait the 6 months until it invariably comes out on PC, which they've already announced is going to happen.
Hopefully, without all of the mobile shit that comes with it. Or the mobile version becomes the PC version at some point, and it's just and it is the game that I actually wanted it to be. But once again, Square Enix have completely fucked it. In my opinion, for me, maybe not for a lot of other people. I don't know. Is there? Then there must be an audience out there for this. There must be an audience and a base of people who play these kinds of games. It doesn't really matter if it's a Final Fantasy VII game, that they just want this kind of game.
I think it's both, right? Like, gacha games work on people, right? One of the reasons I don't play them is because I've played a bit of them and realized that, like, I was sinking a lot of time in games I kind of didn't like, or like the biggest one that I played for a while was the what was the tactics game that's on Nintendo?
Fire Emblem?
Yeah, the Fire Emblem gacha game, which for the first like 5-6 hours was just playing a Fire Emblem game, and then it was like, oh, now I have to do the grind and stuff. And actually, I found myself doing the standard gacha thing, which was logging in for the daily free stuff, etc. And like most of my time with the game was just doing that, and I wasn't actually playing a lot of battles. And then I realized that even when I was playing the battles, I wasn't really enjoying it because it's just the like low level immediate dopamine train. But people love that. But one of the reasons people love that particular one is because it's not random IP, it's Fire Emblem, right?
Sure.
Like, these things work because people get attached to the IP.
The thing is that RPGs are all gachas. They just get your time. And now
I mean, that's just things at that level of abstraction.
That's RPGs.
What are podcasts? They're just time-based gacha games.
No. Nothing wastes your time like an RPG.
I do get what you're saying, Lucy. I understand, but
I do too. I'm just being...
without the, I suppose, at least an RPG, a kind of linear, kind of, not even linear, but an open kind of single-player based RPG allows you a level of customization which doesn't, or at least doesn't seem random. I guess every loot drop from every enemy is potentially a randomized thing. You know, you get, I killed an enemy, I get 4 gold. I've killed an enemy, I get a breastplate or a new weapon or something. You know, that happens in all kind of every game as a sense of that. But it's more the do a thing and then come out to all of these menus. Have you got this sword?
And
No.
if it wasn't for all you dweebs who like RPGs, there'd be no such thing as grinding, and there would be no such thing as microtransactions.
That is not true.
It's all your
Grinding
fault.
that existed before RPGs.
Mm.
But yeah, the level up grinding mechanic is
Grinding,
definitely a
maybe,
thing that has insidiously joined other. When like FIFA started having its dumbass story mode where you level up a dumbass kid, and it's like and like some of your stats were like popularity and all this crap. That's when I realized that RPG mechanics were a bit of a stain on gaming, because you just don't need that for your football game.
You
No.
don't.
The problem is people loved it, right? I didn't. They did.
But then it's the extra, right? It's the insertion of loot boxes and that kind of stuff within those kinds of games, like Ultimate
Ben,
Team and the
those
They're
things
collection.
probably
called
work.
surprise mechanics.
Yes, surprise mechanics.
Yes. So like between leveling up stats and then accessorizing, like those are the two things that enable things like loot boxes and grinding in other games. Because if there's no leveling up, like, guess what? You can't add loot boxes easily to Super Mario Brothers 1.
I'm sure you can.
I mean, you can, but you'd have to like buy a mushroom at the beginning of a level. But you can't like
Yeah.
make Mario faster or bigger without changing the fundamental game, right? But like when you have a player that has variable stats that you can either play to get experience change, or buy crap, or wear crap that will change their attributes, then it's just that changing ability gives you a space to put a thing in that lets you change it for monies versus effort.
Oh fuck.
So if you didn't have that shit in the game, you can't have a loot box, right? Like,
Sure.
Would do. Video games.
Well,
are awful.
I mean, yes, and I guess it's the whole idea of like level progression and being able to skip some shit and that kind of stuff that, like, yes.
and the problem is that when it's designed as like level progression to make you feel rewarded for your work, that's good dopamine. I put the effort in, I figured this thing out. It's neat to not just like being good at Mario Brothers 1, right? Is great, but it involves just pure dexterous stuff. There is something unique about being good at a game where you are like changing the way the game reacts to you based on the things you've learned and the things you've unlocked, which is neat and is an evolved sense of gameplay that I'm not saying is better, but it's different, right? But the problem is when that space opens that door for, but what if you could just give me money and I'll make it work? But of course it's a false win, because the whole point of why we like that type of gameplay is because we fucking earned it.
Absolutely.
I mean, the devil you were dancing with when you downloaded a Square Enix game.
mate.
Yeah.
I mean, but
No, there is no but. Square Enix I don't know how they're still around, other than Final Fantasy, the MMO one that makes tons
I
of
would
money.
imagine lots of money from Sony as well. Is how they're still around, considering Final Fantasy 16 was a PlayStation
it's obviously people like
exclusive.
Ben who literally was like, my favorite game of all time, Final Fantasy VII. I own it on 7 platforms. But what if I download this mobile game? And then instead of Ben, they were like, I'll just put money into this mobile game that is literally cutting out parts of the game I really love so I can play it with less time. Even the whole point is playing the game I love. Like,
oh, good! I'm
that's
at the
why
final
they're still in
battle.
business.
Perfect. I've spent
Is there
£1,000.
actually a character called Zack in Final Fantasy?
Yeah. He's Proto Cloud.
Yes.
No, because when you like talking about Cloud and Sephiroth and all these fantastical names, and then there's just Zack.
Zack. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's ZAK.
And there's Rupert. Robert.
There is a Rufus.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Even that's a bit too fantasy-like. Oh, a Rupert.
Oh, it's Rufus. Oh, hello,
I
good
I mean, there's
chap.
Sid, but it's CID.
I want an Ian in my.
Oh, no, you don't.
Gary. Just
You know what? No, yeah, Dave. Why has there never been a Dave in Final Fantasy? Not David, but Dave.
Yeah. I could see.
That's what you need. You need like Steve and Dave as the two protagonists of Final Fantasy XVII. I was like, can you imagine?
And they
Oh
meet,
no, Dave!
they meet Gary the Wizard, and he sends him on a quest. Like, yeah, absolutely. They'll come over here soon. You know, they're looking at British names, I would imagine, as they progress across the world with their different stories that they want to tell.
British one that was like all medievally or something.
Oh, there's definitely parts of. I
Didn't
suppose
it come out recently or something, or is it a newish one?
So 16, I think, has.
Oh yeah, that came out, didn't it?
It did come out. It came out this year.
16. I haven't heard a single thing about it.
I don't think it's necessarily British, but I think they had a look at like European stuff.
What is it
for it? So like the themes, you know, it's very much set in kind of a more medieval, kind of fantasy style sort of thing. Or at least I haven't played it. I don't know. But that's the
Have you not heard anyone talk about that game?
No.
I thought it was a big deal when a Final Fantasy game came out.
Absolutely.
I've not
It's
heard
meant to be.
anyone
It's meant to be. You
talk about it.
see lots of Instagram posts of people being like,
Okay.
you know, that Square Enix have put out to very much sort of say, look at how many people like our game, and it's like a couple of content creators like, oh my god, it's so good.
Because I remember Final Fantasy 15 and like people couldn't. I think I know that was a. No.
There was a big discourse around 15 though.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because it took so long to come out or something, but
it was a fundamental change to the way the combat system went, and it was much more hack and slash. People called it the death knell of the JRPG. And to be honest, the only discourse I've seen about 16 is it's more of that.
Oh,
but not good. It's not like a good hack and slash RPG. It's just clearly a hack and slash RPG.
Yeah,
that's literally the only thing I've heard about it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's weird. I mean, if I was Square, I'd be a bit worried about that. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how stuff shakes out for them, right? Because obviously they got rid of all of their Western studios. They sold off a bunch of IP last year because I mean, I don't know why they did that. Maybe it's because of, you know, but they wanted to lean more into what they're making, maybe more into the not necessarily the Japanese market, but more into the development teams there and support for them and that kind of stuff, and consolidate a little bit rather than being a bit broader and having publishing arms and all of that kind of stuff. But I would imagine it's because they just wanted to generate a bunch of money so they could start getting into blockchain and all of that sort of shit, which is what they said. There's something that they were going to start doing.
But by the time they had announced this sell-off deal, fucking NFTs had already crashed, like fully cratered.
Completely.
It was such a funny thing. It's like, what, you didn't? How bad did you make this deal that you had no way of canceling it before announcing it? Because clearly this is just ruinous for your business.
Yes. Yeah. Very much.
Yeah. When the cash cow, I imagine it's probably sold a lot in the East, but I mean, Western sales is probably where you want your cash cow to be cash cowing.
Potentially.
And if it hasn't, then
I did see. Let me try and find it. We will move on in a moment. I won't. There's no way I'm going to find it. They did put out a post. Square Enix basically saying, "Hooray! It's been downloaded like 1 million times in 24 hours or something like that."
By
like
one person.
Yeah.
just had to restart their PlayStation.
Uninstall. Start again. Uninstall.
Yeah, basically, right?
Stopped halfway through. Yeah.
Maybe.
As 18 installed.
But yeah, let's move on from Square Enix and fucking just absolute carnage. Lucy, did you have anything you wanted to discuss this week?
I've played games. I have played games. Let me get up my little spreadsheet so I know which games I have played, because it's more than one.
Oh wow! Okay.
Oh yes, that's the one I wanted to implore Aadil to play. Have you checked out Venba yet?
I have. I have the code that I'm supposed to review for the website.
Okay. No,
So-
I'll wait to
Next week.
talk
Next week.
about that with you.
Yeah,
once we
so
finish.
actually that's a mild side effect. I no longer have job precarity, and my brain is like, oh my god, video games. And that's at the top of my list.
Nice.
Yeah, it's literally only about an hour, so
Oh, is it?
yeah. So you can definitely crack on with that, and then we can discuss it at a later date. So yeah, that I played. Yeah. So last time I was on, we talked about the Case of the Golden Idol. So since then I played Vember. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at what else I played before. I want to talk about the big one, the biggie. Well, you know, I'll come back to those right before we wrap up the podcast.
Okay.
I'll have something to
Which
say.
is right now.
Announce.
That's one of our shortest podcasts, but
Bye,
we're
everyone.
really keen to hear what Lucy has to say, so we're going to wrap up early.
I'll keep you on in suspense.
Okay.
But Chants of Sennaar is a game that I hadn't heard of prior to maybe about 2 weeks ago. I think I saw a Game Informer, like, was it a preview or something? And this is, I think it only came out, was it last week or something? I think there is still a demo available, if I'm not mistaken. I
Okay.
downloaded the demo, played the demo to... You know when you get a good demo is when you play all the way through it and you're like, I'm already sold on this game. I'm going to buy it, but I'm still going to complete the demo.
Yeah.
Even though my save is not going to transfer over, but I just want to keep playing it. Yeah, so that happened. And
Nice.
all games should have demos because it works.
Yep.
It makes people buy the games. But yeah, it's a linguistic puzzle game, I guess. It's it's sort of like the Tower of Babel, which, for anyone who doesn't know, I think it's biblical, I'm guessing, but sorry, you know, I'm a dirty Protestant. I don't know anything about faith or anything like that. I'm just a hedonistic Protestant, I think. But anyway, Church of England, I'm guessing that's Protestant because it's not Catholic. So.
It definitely is, yeah.
I don't have, you know, a lot of self-loathing, so that means I'm not Catholic. So, anyway.
Yeah,
Just pick one of the other ones.
It's a necessary condition of being Catholic, but it's not necessary to be... being it doesn't mean you're a Catholic.
Okay, gotcha. Anyway, Tower of Babel is basically this fictional tower where people at all different levels speak different languages, and you know, it's all about. Well, I don't know the Bible story too much. I know surface level what it is, but I don't know. It could be something about, you know, the decay of society with nobody talking to each other, communicating with each other, or worshipping false idols. I don't know, all that Bible stuff. But it's basically people all have different languages and they cannot communicate with one another.
Mm-hmm.
So you are basically this cloaked figure, starting at the base of the tower. Sorry?
Jesus.
Yes, you are Jesus.
Cloaked or robed?
Cloaked, robed, yes. I guess it's not quite a wizard or
A
anything.
Jedi.
Yeah. Yes, you are Yoda. You're like a taller version of Yoda. And you starting at the base of the tower, and you're basically going to be acting as the UN interpreter for all these different, sort of like different castes of people in this tower. They're all like, it's very segregated. It's like you're basically having to, you know, sleuth around. There's like stealth sections which actually don't suck as much as most stealth sections do, but you're basically not meant to be in the places that you're meant to be. You're not meant to be ascending
Okay.
the tower.
Right.
But you're basically having to figure. You don't know any of the languages, so you're having to figure out what these. The language is told in like glyphs. You have these characters. They do emote, which is a very important part of the game. They do emote, and they do, there is voice acting, but it's an unintelligible language that they're speaking. But they all have speech bubbles over their head, and it shows you what glyphs are basically what they're saying in the form of glyphs. And yeah, so it's sort of like a detective puzzle game. It's sort of giving me the same satisfaction as something like The Case of the Golden Idol or Return of the Obra Dinn. That kind of, I feel smart for figuring this out. Because at the very start of the game, it's in the demo, so it just drops you right in, and the way it just portrays its mechanics is just so brilliant, and it's just like, okay, I got it. Understood. So at the very start of the game, you're basically having to cross these bridges across this water, and there's like these sluices that you have to lower and bring up, basically to move the water flow so that you can pass across the bridges. And so, like, the first puzzle is there's this lever, and there's a glyph, two sets of glyphs on it, and it's, okay, 3 glyphs at the top, 3 glyphs at the bottom. And it's like, okay, there's a lever, you're going to have to, common sense tells you you're going to have to pull it. What does pulling the lever do? And then you pull the lever, and it opens this door. And it's like, okay, from that I can kind of infer that these sets of glyphs mean, okay, the door is closed. And the other sets of glyphs, after I move the lever and the door opened, means the door is now opened. So, and every time you approach glyphs, you have this notebook, and it automatically notes down, okay, you've discovered this glyph, that glyph, the other glyph, and you can have an educated guess at what they are, and you can, just go into your notebook, open up the keyboard. I played on Steam Deck. The keyboard's opened up automatically for you, and just write what you think it is. So it's like, okay, I think this glyph means door, I think this means open, or the level was in an up position, so I'm going to put, is it open? Maybe it's up. And then it's just like, I don't know what this other glyph means, just leave it. And then after you discover, several other glyphs, the game will every now and then just open up the notebook automatically for you and show you some pictures. And it's like, match what glyph you think each one of these are. And it happens at a natural point in each level where it's like, okay, at this point, maybe you should know, with all the people you've seen, all the the emotes and gestures of all these people that you've seen, all the signage, all the, I don't know, graffiti and stuff like that in the world. Maybe at this point you should be able to infer what these particular things are, and then you start guessing them. And then once you get them right, it like locks those things in, sort of like Obra Dinn. It's like,
nice.
Okay, you know what go means, you know what hello means, you know what door means, and it's like, cool. And yeah, it's a really intuitive puzzle game, because I think it does a really nice push and pull where it's like, okay, it's letting you figure things out yourself, but it's also every now and then, by opening the notebook automatically for you and drawing in pictures, it pushes you to like being like, okay, come on, you need to know what these are in order for you to not get completely lost and drowned at sea. But I think even if, like, I've been to some of the levels, I have finished the game, by the way, but I went to like some of the different levels in the tower, and it was like, okay, I've uncovered 20 glyphs, and I don't know what a single one of them means yet. But if you keep exploring, if you keep going around, it's like it works. Well, I don't know. Like simultaneously, it's like I can go to this area of the level first, or I can go to that area of the level first. I can go because these are all like quite labyrinthine, like kind of levels, and I think probably the biggest complaint is wish I had a map sometimes instead of just like walking around in a circle several times. But just like I can go pretty much most places in a certain level. Like this, you know, there are some places that are blocked off and that you'll need to know what the glyphs mean in order to get there. But at the start of each level, there is like a lot of different places that you can go. And regardless of where you go, it's like you'll still be able to figure out what the glyphs mean. Everything is just so well meshed and tied with it, you know, tied with every other glyph in the game. So it's like, okay, I didn't understand what hello meant over here, but there's more clues as to what hello means over there if I didn't get it the first time when I was back over there, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's a really, really good puzzle game. In terms of like the linguistic puzzles, it does have other puzzles like standard video game fare, like Soccer Man puzzles where you like Zelda move things around, push boulders kind of thing around, and there are stealth sections which are, you know, they're there. Yeah, which is the best thing I can say about them. But they're not annoying like most stealth games, so that's not too bad.
Okay.
But yeah, just like interesting puzzles like that. But the linguistic puzzles is where this game shines and what the hook is. And as someone who very much likes language and translation, it is very much my street, very much up my alley. And it's just really good to look at as well.
Yeah.
It's very pretty.
It does. It's almost got this like kind of monochromatic kind of palette to it. You know, everything in a scene is kind of like gold, or everything in a scene is kind of grey with hints of maybe something. But you know, it's tones of grey, it's tones of gold. It's that kind of nice sort of stuff. And it's got a little bit.
I must say that each level has a completely different color scheme, which really makes it pop. Which is nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were going to say something.
Only it kind of evokes Sable a little bit as well in its aesthetic too. Kind of the way that things are kind of made, the way the characters look, and that kind of stuff looks very, very similar to Sable.
Yeah, those nice pastel colors it's got going on. But yeah, it's really good to look at. So I didn't mind getting lost every now and then. I was like, oh, that's pretty. And the way the camera's perspective changes, like. It goes, you know, sometimes it pans out when you're in a like really big remote area, or you know, it goes overhead, and yeah, just lots of nice camera work. Yeah, it's just a really well made puzzle game. It's like nothing else this year that I've played. It was just like, okay, I want to keep going and just want to. Like even Blasphemous 2, I haven't been back for a week or so, but this I was just like, okay, I really want to finish it. And I just think it was like 3 sittings.
Oh wow! Okay, that's short.
I was gonna ask how long have you spent with it?
I'll go to my Steam because there was some idle time as well. I'm not sure because it was like I played it over the course of 3 days. I will say that, so it was 3 sessions on 3 days. But if I could hazard a guess, I'd probably say about 9 hours.
Okay.
Obviously, it depends how quick you are at getting the puzzles. But let me have a look. My name is Juicy Loose 9. Yes.
Find yourself. It sounds really good in terms of the kind of like the mix of things. You know, taking that little bit of Return of the Obra Dinn with this kind of almost like Heaven's Vault, sort of trying to identify kind of characters and understand the kind of language, but also like the accessibility. It made me want to get
back to that Heaven's Vault,
The accessibility around it going, as Obra Dinn did, you've got this. That's correct. Here you go. You haven't got to guess every single thing. You've understood this. It's locked in. It's done. that's quite nice. Not having to just constantly second guess yourself and think, I did think this was hello for a long time, but now something has made me think it's not. Like if it's hello, you've got it locked in and it's done. That's like filled out. So yeah, it's nice when games give you that little bit of a kind of a leg up, just to keep you going essentially.
Yeah. Steam says I spent 14.8 hours in there. A little bit of idle time, plus I mopped up some of the achievements just before I'd finished at the end. So yeah, I'd say probably about 10 to 12 hours.
Nice.
Nice.
But yeah, it's like the best thing I've played this year, for sure.
That's huge.
Amazing.
And it's
Wow.
called what again?
Not really, because I haven't played a lot this year, but but it is definitely the best thing I've played this year. It's just incredibly well made, incredibly interesting thing. It's just so satisfying. Like, as I say, like each of these levels, I think there's about 4 or 5. They each have their own separate language, so it's like you are having to translate between this level and that level because the characters do interact with each other, and there are like these things where it's like, okay, we want these, characters to basically, as I say, you're basically a UN interpreter for some of them, and it's like it's giving you basically a full sentence, and it's like you translate what it means in this language, as compared to the other one, and that is, it's just so satisfying.
Nice,
it's just
good.
Like,
Aadil, you asked a question. What was it?
What's the full title?
Chants. So
Chants
Chants
as in like
TS.
TS.
Right.
Yes.
Of Sennaar.
Of Sennaar. Yeah, it was the
Cinnamon,
double A that I was missing out on.
Yeah,
Sennaar.
Yeah. I didn't realize it had another N in it until today. So
No. Good.
But yeah, it's really, really, really good.
Amazing.
I've added it to my wish list, and I'm downloading the demo.
Yeah. You haven't got to Oberdin yet, have you?
No,
No.
If I didn't have to play. Well, now that I know that one game is 1 hour,
Yeah.
a lot less daunting for me to start that to review it next week, and we can talk about it.
Good. I think I'm going to have to wind us up there for this week. My small child is getting up around about this time every day. I've heard a little bit of noise, so I think I'm going to have to wind us up and go and assist. But
All good.
before we get back to our beers, and Adelaide, I realise I haven't given you a chance to chat about anything this week, but you've been
The thing
very,
I wanted to say is I'm
busy.
excited to play games.
Yes. I know you've been incredibly busy to not have the time to be able to do the games. But Lucy, you kept us in suspense about about something.
Yeah, but I want 10 games on my desk by next Friday, Aadil. 10.
I mean, do you want 10 games, or you want me to have played 10
I want you to have
games?
played 10
I
games.
can send you a list of 10 games now.
Even if you just open them up on Steam and close them, I still believe you wouldn't be able to do it. Because even just getting to Steam is like...
I just downloaded a demo as we spoke.
You have to launch it.
I don't know. Launching it. You said that is tough.
Yeah. My very small announcement is it's not even that big. I think I'm gonna start writing about video games on like a Substack. So
nice.
Subscribe, just because as you'll see in my first post, I'll still continue to write reviews once every 6 years, as it seems to be. But this will just be a very short form, and I can just drop them on Out of Lives as well. Also, that will be no problem. But it will just be very small thingy. So I will drop. Well, I'm going to drop it to you two first. The link as soon as maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, maybe that'll actually encourage me to actually write something. So
I think that's always the way, isn't it? Like you have the idea you kind of think, yeah, I can write, and I've had it plenty of times. I'll do this, and I'll do that, and I'll do this. I have out of lives, I can just put it on there. But suddenly, when you have this thing that is kind of yours, and maybe is only something that you will contribute to, it kind of pushes you that little bit more. Especially if it's like a Substack or it's going out to subscribers, it's delivered by email, it's that kind of thing. It pushes you maybe just that touch more, which then, once you start getting into it, opens you up even more to doing all of the other things as well. It is that kind of stepping into, not necessarily the unknown, but into the not so recently experienced
That's what the
space.
The weekly streaming window I had for, especially during lockdown, was for me. It was 4 Out of Lives, but I was the only one streaming for Out of Lives, and it was a structured window, and it just gave me the extra bit. And then I ended up playing games outside of
Imagine.
officially, right?
Yeah. It'll just be a lot more free flowing and not as well. Won't be reviews. It'll just be crap that I want to call it. But now I'm calling it short musings about short video games.
Nice. Okay.
Emphasis on the short.
Short
I don't know if
musings.
it's worth going into a WordPress and put
so you know, there's a
Out of Lives when it's 6 lines when it's like, this game is crap.
Yeah. I didn't
I like
the
this
colour.
game.
Yeah.
So there is a album, a punk music album from, I want to say 1999, but late 90s, that is called Short Music for Short People. Came out, I want to say Fat Wreck Records, and it's a compact disc album with 101 tracks. Remember, compact discs were limited to 74 minutes total. And the first song is like heavy guitar riff, basically yelling, "I've got a short attention span," and it's like a 5-second.
Okay, this is now the soundtrack to my Substack, so thank you for
Good. Oh my god! So apparently the entire album is on YouTube, and it's only 50 minutes. But it's 101 different bands contributed to this.
Wow.
Right? It's like not like one guy being like, "Oh, here's a short song, here's the song." No, it's 101 bands being dumb making short music.
Maybe I'm not that original after all, maybe this was just in my mind somewhere. Maybe I don't know.
We need a book, 101 video game reviews through the ages, and it's just one sentence from 101 different people about different games.
The first track is, "Why don't people understand? I've got a short attention span. A short attention span."
Good. Right. Let's finish there for this week. We'll return back to the beers. I will kick us off. I really liked this beer. I was a little bit not worried necessarily with it being a milkshake IPA and it being key lime that it was going to be too much. I did have that thought in my head that it was going to be really big, but this was really nice and balanced. It wasn't too big. It didn't blow my head off, which is great when we're talking about flavors which are quite and can be quite sort of like off-putting. You know, lime in stuff can kind of really overtake everything, and it can be just a bit too much. Whereas in this, it was balanced out very, very nicely with a little bit of sweetness, that lactose, a little bit of pastry in there as well. So it was a very, very nice beer, and would be better, I think, again in the sun, in the middle of the day. This would hit a nice, refreshing spot, I think. And you know, it was nice and wet, wasn't dry, didn't drag me back to it too much. So yeah, this is very, very well made, and probably one of the better milkshake IPAs that I have had. So that's that beer. Lucy, Arpus, Finback.
Yes, not a milkshake, but it brings all the boys to the yard. It's really good. I've still got a decent amount left. I thought it was, at first I was like, it always finishing a bit dry because I noticed I kept going back to it, but I think it satiated me just enough, and it's like very good. It's good. Very soft, very pillowy, very easy, and And yeah, can't tell it's 8%, but that's fine. Just knock it back. Just smash it back. It's fine. Have 12 of them in one night.
Perfect.
Do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just
Very
mainlined straight in. And Aadil, speaking of beers, which may not quite give away their percentage.
Yep, I've been nursing this because I'm aware of how strong it is, and the fact that I had 3 or 4 half pints of 10 or 11% beers before this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're surprisingly coherent.
Especially for me. I think it's the adrenaline of this whole no longer being precarious job situation.
Yes.
That's good. I'm glad.
It's great. Find it on tap. It tastes slightly different in tin. It's good in both. Also, having had 3 of the 5... I think 3 of the 5. 1, 2... Yeah,
Good
3 of
going.
the 5. 5 years of sour beer, Vault City beers. I would say if you see one, have it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine the 2 I haven't had, given their names and who they're collaborating with, are gonna be bad. Mostly because also I haven't really had a bad Vault City, and the 2 I haven't had, like the one with the draught, seems really super interesting, and I'm gonna try and track it down. But they're great. These are really interesting. They're 10, 11%, all of them, and they don't taste like it at all. And I mean that in they don't have that boozy character on the taste or the aftertaste. They have a viscosity, but it works with what's going on. So it's like not quite dangerously strong, but they're all very good. And I mean, love Vol City. Why not celebrate their 5 years with them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Good. I've just gone on their website to see if I can find these beers. I think they are all on their website still. So yeah, take a look. I might put a little order together with them and get those just sent in rather than trying to find them from somewhere. But good. They are the beers this week. They are the games that we have been playing. If you'd like to talk to us about games or beers, you can get us at Tanked Up Cast on the socials. I'm at Nova_47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
Aadil is...
And at Short Musings about short video games.
I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Tweet out a link, mate. Tweet out a link.
Yeah, I'll have to remember how to tweet.
You mean X
Post. Isn't it post?
Oh,
Isn't
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's tweet. It's tweet.
I gotta learn how to
But
do
also,
X.
whatever link you put, I will throw out to my Blue Sky and my Threads.
Oh, have you got? Send me an invite to Blue Sky.
Oh, do you want Blue Sky?
Yeah,
I've
want
had
Blue
it for like
Sky.
a month. I've just been out of the country.
Did you get an invite?
I have 3
'Cause it's
invite codes.
invites still, isn't it?
Lucy, Ben, if you want Blue Skies, I can send them to you in
I
person.
don't
Listening,
know what that is.
it's
another social media
supposed to be the
platform,
Twitter replacement.
basically. Yeah.
Okay.
but it's
Wasn't that
it's invite only
Mastodon?
right now.
So yes, Mastodon. Hive.
Mastodon seems to have kind of died.
Look, I'll be on MySpace. You can find me there.
Friendster. I'm gonna be on Internet
then-
Relay Chat.
Because you used to be able to put a music thing for every time you
Yes,
went
you
onto
did.
Yeah, you can just
MySpace.
do each track of that album.
Exactly.
Yep. Join us in the IRC. Join us in the Out of Lies IRC room.
Oh,
you
don't
know.
tempt me. I might make one.
Is MySpace still around?
No, it
No,
got.
but-
Oh,
I don't know.
well, they because of like GDPR and stuff. I know like if your accounts have been vaporized. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Oh no.
That makes sense.
My 2 friends.
But Tom,
Tom,
and...
yeah.
Let me
Okay,
see if I'm right about that.
Go to outoflives.net, friends, and look at all of the things that we put up there as well. You can see our faces and the beers at our Out of Lives YouTube page, or join us on Twitch when we record live. That's all of the places. It's all the beers, all the games. It's us. It's the stuff we do. Thank you very much for joining us this week.
I lied. My MySpace still exists. It just doesn't have any. Oh, it has one picture. And everything else is broken.
Everyone
This
else.
is really funny.
Everyone else, let us
Sorry.
know if your
Yes, we're
MySpace
wrapping
exists.
up. Bye.
We will- I'm waving. He's waving. Goodbye.
www.outoflives.net.